Hi, welcome to Stories from My Drinking Days. My name's Harry from Nolo Cocktails and Bars, and today we have Lixie with us to discuss her journey with alcohol and how that's been changed in her life. So Lixie's introduction, at 23, she was divorced and living on a sofa after having left an emotionally abusive marriage. She transformed her life and in 6 years built a corporate career that she loves, quadrupled her income to hit six figures, and bought her first property at 29 years old. She's really happy to have built a life that she loves and is now a six-figure success coach, helping other women build the success they desire and deserve. So welcome, Lixie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Love to be here.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. So tell us a bit about your previous drinking habits and what you were doing sort of in your early 20s. I should hasten to add for our viewers that Lixie's still only 31, so she's still quite young and partying still. But yeah, tell us how you started drinking and kind of how that's affected your life, do you think?
Absolutely. So I drank as a late teen. Obviously, I was in a club on my 18th birthday, as most of us are. Then I went into the emotionally abusive marriage, didn't really drink much at all. When I came out of that, I met a whole new group of friends and they definitely loved to party, which I got involved in, and it was great. And for the next 8 years, it was definitely a work hard, play hard type of situation. So during the time I built my corporate career and hit six figures, that was a Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 activity. And then as soon as it would get to 5 o'clock on a Friday, we'd be in the pub, and that's where we'd spend the evening. And then we'd probably do the same thing on Saturday. And then Sunday morning, we'd be back at the pub having breakfast to recover from the night before. And it was great fun. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't problematic. It wasn't like I had a problem with alcohol. It was we drank regularly, as I think a lot of the British culture encourages, because a lot of what we do involves alcohol. But it was 9 months ago on Friday, I made the decision to get sober because I had health issues unrelated to alcohol. I'd been in a car accident that caused some stomach problems, so I decided to give up alcohol in the hopes that it would help fix the stomach problems. And I've seen the benefits that I've seen from giving up drinking are not just limited to the fact that I no longer have stomach problems. So it's been a real 180 shift from what I was doing kind of this time last year, which was spending my summer in pub gardens, getting drunk all the time, and then really enjoying my 9 to 5, but wait, at the weekend I would then go and get drunk again. So that's kind of a quick recap of what I've been doing over the last 8 years or so.
Yeah. So did you find giving up alcohol fixed the stomach problems then? Did it help with that? Or
it definitely helped. So it wasn't the cause of the stomach problems, but it definitely made the symptoms worse. And previously I'd kind of just ignored that fact because I liked going out and getting drunk and drinking with my friends and sitting in the pub, and it was great fun. But I woke up one morning last October after a night of drinking, and the stomach pain was so bad that I cried, which for anyone that knows me knows that that is a serious thing. I'd never cry. I'm not a crier. And I kind of just took stock and was like, okay, I definitely need to do something to change this. And the easiest and biggest change that I could make was to give up alcohol, which is what I did.
Yeah. And how did you find giving up alcohol? Did you find that easy, or was that quite tricky?
I think because I had the health issues, it was easier than it could have been. I think if I just made the decision to give up, I think it would have been a lot harder. I had the health issues to keep me focused, as it were. But yes, it was definitely tough because I was the only one in my friendship group that was giving up drinking. So I've got a couple of, as a lot of people do, I've got a couple of different groups of friends. All of them drink because we're all British and it's what we love to do. So I did find it quite difficult, especially on special occasions. So things like over Christmas, I did a completely sober Christmas, which is completely baffling. There was no Bucks Fizz, there was no Baileys in the evening. It was very strange, but I still had an amazing day. But it was definitely a very different experience to what I'm used to.
Yeah. And did you enjoy the experience, or did you just 100%. Find it actually quite difficult?
No, I think I probably had a better day because I remembered it. Because one of the things that alcohol
Yeah.
does is makes you lose your memories. So I am quite fortunate in that I don't really get hungover. So I don't get the headache. I don't feel sick the next morning, which I think is not a good thing because I think that puts you off drinking
Yeah.
so often. But I don't get that because apparently that's my superpower. So that was never the issue for me. But I do get the kind of the blackout and the memory loss. I do get that quite badly. So
Right.
actually being able to remember like all of Christmas Day and all of New Year's Eve has actually been really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned that you found other benefits apart from obviously it helped with your health problems at the time. So what do you think what have been the main benefits for you of giving up alcohol?
Mm. So as I said, I built a really successful corporate career that I do 9 to 5. I also now run a coaching business, which I've been doing for 2 years. So for 2 years, I was working full time in corporate, running a coaching business, and spending my weekends drinking and partying, which is a lot to manage. And one of the side effects of drinking is that you lose productivity for days afterwards. So trying to get back into a really productive mindset, by the time you've done that, it's almost the weekend again and time for more drinking. So that's one of the things that I've really noticed since giving up is that Monday morning comes and I'm already super productive and I get more done now on a Monday morning than I probably would have done on like a Wednesday afternoon normally, because I don't have to get over like the brain fog of having spent the weekend drinking, which is awesome. And I think with most people, when you've been out drinking the following day, you're tired because you haven't slept properly. You spend the day eating comfort food, and I don't do any of that now, which is awesome. And I just feel like I've got a lot more free time, not because I'm not going out, because I still am, but because I don't have the after effects that alcohol causes now that I don't drink it.
Yeah. And so what are you doing with all this free time that you've gained?
Working on my business.
Yeah.
So yeah, the business has become kind of more of a focus this year because I enjoy doing it. I want to help other women build more success in their corporate careers. And this year I've been able to retire my mum on using the money that I would have spent on alcohol. That has now gone towards the pot that I use to retire my mum. So I've helped her financially retire, which I would not have been able to do, despite being really successful and owning a business. I would not have been able to do that if I hadn't given up drinking because of the amount of money that is spent on the alcohol itself, taxis, the food on the night out, the food the day after. I don't do any of that anymore. So I can now go out for an evening and not spend any money because I would drive because I'm not drinking. I can drink tap water. Because of the stomach issues, I'm not big on drinking fizzy drinks. So I would steer towards water more than I would to soft drinks. So yeah, it's just been a really big shift in how I'm spending my time and money, and it's meant I've been able to do amazing things like retire my mum.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. I bet she's
Thank you.
really pleased and very
She
grateful.
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She's been a full-time nurse for forever. So I think it was definitely time for some payback because she is one of the reasons that I am as successful as I am. So
Yeah, brilliant.
she
So are
deserves
you
it.
currently working then in a corporate career as well as running your business?
For the foreseeable future, yes, because I love my
Yeah.
corporate career. But at the same time, it's a real passion of mine to help other women build more success in their corporate careers. Corporate is still a very male dominated industry. It's absolutely getting better, but I still see women that don't believe that they can earn the sorts of money that I earn and that I earn at a really young age. And I want to change that perception and help ambitious women aim higher because even when they are ambitious, I don't think that they aim high enough. And there are lots of myths surrounding earning good money in that you have to work all hours of the day and it's a hustle culture and it's really toxic, and I don't have any of that in my work life. I've built the right boundaries and I work 9 to 5. I'll occasionally it might spill over, I might be traveling, but generally my work day is 9 to 5 and then I get my free time to work on my business. And that's the sort of things I want to share with other women, and that's why I started Life with Lixie, the coaching business.
Right. Okay. So I'll just pop up your
Thank you.
website address there on the screen for everybody. So tell me about Life with Lixie then. How do you work with women and what sort of conversations are you having with people?
So the idea of it is to help women in corporate be more successful in their careers. So the strategy I kind of use towards that is it's COS, as in because I said so. So it's COS, which is confidence, organization, and skills. I think those are the three key things that you need to be more successful in whatever role that you're doing. Generally, as a general rule, you will see men in higher roles, in higher paid roles, because they've had the confidence to go for them and they don't feel like they need it. Just as I am generalizing here, obviously it's not the same for
absolutely.
men. Women tend to not apply for higher roles if they don't feel like they meet every single criteria in the job description. They might meet 9 out of 10, but if they don't have that 10th one, they won't apply for it because they don't think, whereas if they applied for it, there is a really good chance that they could have got it. So the first thing I like to cover when I'm working with my clients one-on-one is just building up their confidence in themselves and their abilities and seeing what they're already good at. And then the second thing is organization. I think a lot of people struggle with how to manage their day, how to look after their own diary, how to make sure they're focusing on the right things and not just keeping themselves busy with tasks that don't kind of push you forward towards your goals. And that's definitely something that's helped me in my own success, is learning to focus on the right things instead of kind of filling my time with busy work. And then the final thing of the three is your skills. So what skills don't you currently have that you could improve to get you further ahead in your career? But that one is definitely, it's, in my opinion, is not as important as the first two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've definitely seen it with friends that people don't apply for roles that you think actually they'd be really good at that because they don't quite tick all those boxes. Whereas generally, men would just go for it and assume that they can learn it on the job. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, they'll figure it out as they go. So do any of your conversations sort of touch on alcohol and actually the productivity increase you've seen by giving up, or is that generally not something that you would talk about with your clients?
I absolutely would talk about it. It's not something that's come up yet with any of the current clients I've talked about, but I do talk about it a lot on my social media. So my Instagram and Facebook groups where I am most active, I do talk a lot about the fact that I've given up drinking and that I still go out. I don't sit just because I've given up drinking now doesn't mean I sit at home and do nothing. I've still got groups of friends that absolutely do go out drinking, and I go with them. I just don't drink, which some people find very strange. But what I found is that if you're there when everyone starts drinking, so when they're sober, if you're there from that point and you're with them as they start drinking, then it's great fun and you still get involved in the vibe and it's still a good time. What I have found is that if you turn up late and everybody's already been drinking, that I personally find much tougher because it's more, you're not yet in the same vibe. It's more difficult to keep up with the conversation because drunk people tend to talk really fast and talk a lot of nonsense. And if you've not been there when that started, it's really hard to get involved in. But yeah, as long as I'm there when they start drinking, then it's absolutely fine. And I would still go out with them every weekend and have a great time.
Yeah. And so how have they reacted to the fact that you've given up drinking? Because I think that's one of people's big fears, is what other people will think about the fact that they've given up.
Mm-hmm. Overall, it's been supportive, especially as it's been because of the health issues that I've had. I absolutely still get the jokes constantly about, are you going to drink tonight? Or wouldn't you just feel better if you had a jug of Pimm's in front of you, and that sort of thing. But because they are my friends, I know that it's all in jest and they don't really mean it, and they absolutely wouldn't push the alcohol on me. So what I've said currently is that I won't start drinking again until the stomachache is completely gone, or I hit the year, whichever of those is later. So a year would be in October. So generally, I think there is a countdown happening within my friendship group to get to that point, so that I will start drinking again.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know. They're probably going to see this and hate this, but I don't know whether I will go back to drinking because of the benefits that I've seen not drinking. That remains to be seen. But yeah, they've been quite supportive of the fact that I'm not drinking.
Oh, well, that's really good. Do you think that if you went back to drinking, do you think you'd fall back into the habits and you'd be keeping up with them? Or do you think that you're somebody that can moderate their drinking?
That is a great question, and it's definitely one of the reasons that I don't know whether I'd go back, because I worry that I would fall back into the same patterns, and I really don't want to do that. But once you've had a drink or a couple of drinks, it's really easy to just have a couple more. And it's something I'm definitely going to have to ask myself and kind of think through whether I want to risk doing that, because I really don't want to go back to drinking like I was before. Not because there's anything wrong with people that want to do that. It's your choice. If you're quite happy with that, then you do that. But I'm really enjoying the extra time that I've got and how much more productive I feel, and the money that I've saved not drinking. So if it's I'm going to Iceland for Christmas this year, and the idea of not sitting in like a lovely bar on Christmas Day in Iceland and not having a drink is feeling really odd. But at the same time, I don't know if I would want to break a year and a bit of sobriety just to have one drink on Christmas Day. It just doesn't feel right. So yeah, at the moment I'm still undecided.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know whether you've ever given up before. Have you ever done like a dry January or anything like that?
A few times.
Yeah. And have you just found that you just in the past have just fallen back into the same drinking habits at the end of that period?
Yeah, definitely. We've counted down the 31 days until we can just go back to the drinking again.
Yeah, which I think is quite normal for people going through something like dry January. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I can have a drink
exactly.
at the 1st of February. I can't wait.
Exactly, because you know that there's a limit on it, and you've just set yourself a challenge of just not drinking for 31 days, and then you go back to doing it as you were before. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I found that I've done the 31 days before, and every single time I had gone back to drinking the way that I had been previously. And I realized that actually I can't moderate. Some people can do it really, really well. And I've got a friend that opens a bottle of wine on a Friday night. She'll drink it over the weekend. Well, in my house, that wouldn't last Friday night. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't. There's no way.
Friday and a glass.
You can't leave in it a bottle of wine unfinished.
No,
I'm completely with you. And that's what I mean. That's why I'm concerned that if I do go back to drinking at all, I won't moderate it, and I'll just end up doing exactly what I was. It's a lot easier to say not at all than it is to say one or two for myself anyway.
Yeah, and that's the decision I came to about myself. And I think you have to be really honest with yourself about actually whether or not it's achievable for you to moderate your drinking. And I know for me it wasn't. Now I found I gave up for a month initially, and then like you saw the benefits massively of giving up alcohol, and decided that I would do the year. And that was over 4 years ago now. But
oh wow.
During that year, I just found that I just became a non-drinker. I just stopped thinking of myself as somebody that drank alcohol. So I just, it wasn't even a question for me at the end of the year. I was just not drinking. Have you reached that point, or do you still think of yourself as a drinker that's just having a bit of a break?
That's quite funny, really. I found a Mother's Day card in my desk drawer the other day that I'd forgotten to give my mum last year. And the joke on the front was something like, for Mother's Day, I was going to get you something small and alcoholic. And then when you opened it, it said, no need to, though, because you've already got me. And I was like, could I save that and use that this year? And then I thought to myself, I was like, I can't really, because I wouldn't consider myself small and alcoholic anymore because I don't drink. So I think I've definitely got to the point now where I'm not a drinker at this point in my life. Whether that changes in the future, at this point in my life, I'm not a drinker, which is quite a nice feeling.
Yeah. And have you missed any alcoholic drinks? People often crave different things. Have you?
I will admit I love beer. It is just sitting in the sunshine with a nice cold pint is something that I just love doing. Thankfully, non-alcoholic beers now are really good, and I will drink those instead. So I think there was once I was sat in an airport, so I travel solo quite a lot with work, and previously I would have sat in a nice restaurant in an airport and had a glass of wine, and there's been a couple of times when I've really wanted to do that, and didn't do it because I didn't want to drink the wine. So it would have been nice then if they'd had a non-alcoholic wine on the menu, so I could still have had my glass of wine. But other than that, no, I haven't missed it at all.
Yeah, yeah. And I think often it's our cravings come out of habits, don't they? So you're used to, if you're traveling by yourself, sitting in the restaurant with a glass of wine, and it's trying to replace those things, either, I guess, with a non-alcoholic version of the drink or a different habit.
Exactly, which that time, because it was fairly on in my sobriety, I had a non-alcoholic beer instead. But even so, I'm 9 months in now, and I wouldn't just have. So I went to a barbecue at the weekend for my friend's birthday. Everybody was drinking. I think I took 3 non-alcoholic beers with me, so I wouldn't spend the evening drinking non-alcoholic alcohol the same way that I'd have drunk alcohol. I would turn to water instead and have water because it's a habit that I've managed to change, and I much prefer it.
Yeah. So, any on the non-alcoholic beers, any particular favourites that you found?
Peroni is my favourite because it was my favourite alcoholic.
Right,
So that is definitely the one I will turn to if I'm wanting a non-alcoholic beer. But I've had a few recently actually. I tried 0% Corona recently, which is really good. 0% Birra Moretti is also good, and not 0% Heineken. On the wine front, there's quite a few non-alcoholic. I'm a Sauvignon Blanc drinker, so there are quite a few non-alcoholic white wines that are really good. But I think it very much depends on your tastes as well. So I've tried some that I've really liked, but my sister, who's not sober, she just occasionally will have a non-alcoholic drink. She's tried the same and she hates them. So it definitely depends on your tastes and the kind of wines that you like. But you can get. I also previously liked to drink gin, and you can get non-alcoholic Hendrix, which I've heard is really good. So yeah, there's definitely a really wide range of choice now if you don't want to drink alcohol.
Yeah, there is, and it's forever growing as well. It's such a expanding market. So on the wines, actually, people are always after suggestions of great wines, because I think that's the area of the market which I think is lagging behind slightly. So any particular favourites on the wines?
Oh, that is a great question. Can I remember any of them off my head?
That's the thing. The brands are less recognisable, aren't they? So
yeah, I think Barefoot do a non-alcoholic one.
Yeah, they
The
do.
No Secco is really good, which is obviously non-alcoholic prosecco. That I really like. And also the is it Frexinet? That's probably not how you pronounce
Freshnet,
it. Yeah, with the really cool bottle. The non-alcoholic prosecco of Frexinet, that's really good. That's basically tastes like you're drinking normal prosecco. Which
I've
I
not
really
tried
liked.
that one. I'm definitely going to go and get a bottle of that now, because it's a really good price, the Freshnet. So
I highly recommend that.
Yeah, I think I haven't drunk any Freshnet for absolutely ages, and the last time that I had it, it would have been the alcoholic version. I didn't like it. I think that's probably put me off trying the non-alcoholic. But on your recommendation, that's definitely going on my list of things to try.
Do it. And where was I on Saturday? I think it was Aldi do a 0% Pilsner beer, which was really good. You never really know what you're going to get in Aldi, but it was lovely. So there might be some non-alcoholic wines in there that are worth trying as well.
Yeah, I know that Aldi and Lidl both do non-alcoholic spirits.
Oh, brilliant.
So I don't know about on the wine front, but it's definitely worth looking at the supermarket's own brands.
Yeah.
Marks and Spencer's do some really nice stuff as well. It is an expanding market, isn't it? And there are increasingly numbers of people sort of giving up alcohol for various reasons.
Exactly. Or just limiting the amount that we drink. Yes. We are definitely, I think, pushed as a society towards drinking. But if you don't have to give up drinking. There's absolutely if it's not causing a problem in your life, by all means continue. But I see more and more people that are trying to limit the amount they're drinking. So maybe they'll do a weekend on and a weekend off, or they'll only drink one evening a week or something. So yeah, having more non-alcoholic options definitely makes that easier.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Or people just making different drinks like a Negroni, but putting in one of the ingredients that's non-alcoholic, actually just reducing the alcohol in that way. So
that's clever.
There's so many different ways that you can do it. power to anyone that can moderate. I just can't.
Yeah.
So I don't try.
I don't think I could. I love that idea though. Yeah, making a cocktail. Imagine making like a Long Island iced tea, but you only have 2 out of the 4 alcohols that are in it. That would probably be a much better idea.
Yeah. I mean, you're automatically almost halving your alcohol intake then, aren't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Exactly. I will have a friend that's going to watch this and go, "That is a disgrace. I can't believe you just suggested that."
Yeah, as long as you can find the right matches, then I think it is a really good idea. So have you also found then, you've mentioned drinking water quite a lot, have you found that you're drinking a lot more water now than you used to?
Yeah, so I've always been quite a good water drinker anyway.
Right.
Trying to get in my 2.5, based on my body weight, I have to drink 2.5 liters per day. And I've been quite good at that anyway. But yes, now when I go out drinking, I will tend to have water instead of a non-alcoholic drink or a soft drink, because of my stomach issues. So I do tend to drink a lot more water than anything else now. And
Yeah.
I'm one of those weird that, because I drink so much water, I can tell the different tastes of water. That's how much I now drink water.
Wow.
They
Yeah,
do taste different.
yeah.
I will argue to the death with anyone that says that water tastes the same. It does not.
Have you found your taste buds have changed actually since giving up alcohol?
I hadn't thought about it. Yes, I think they must have done, because I tend to, with my evening meal, I tend to use a food delivery service. It's which is a kind of a step above HelloFresh, so I don't even have to cook it myself. It gets delivered and I put it in the oven. And I was using that same service probably for about a year and a half, and now I don't really like any of the meals, and I've had to completely change what I'm doing food wise. And I just chalked it up to, I've been eating for them for too long, but perhaps it's not that, and perhaps it's related to my tastes having changed. Now I'd given up drinking. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, well, I just noticed that actually with non-alcoholic wines, for example, I don't like some of them if they're too sour. Whereas I used to love white wine and drink lots. I think that my taste buds have veered more towards sweet. And I think that's partly because I'm not drinking the white wine that was quite sour. And also because a lot of the non-alcoholic drinks probably are a bit sweeter anyway, sort of in profile, like the Nosecco. I mean, I quite like a Nosecco, but it is quite sweet. So
yeah, I've definitely. So I previously, although I was drinking fairly regularly, I'm in the gym 5 days a week. The food that I'm intaking, apart from when I'm out drinking, was relatively healthy. And actually this year I've noticed I've eaten a lot more chocolate than I would have done previously. So I imagine if that's why I'm trying to replace the sugar that I would have got from alcohol with chocolate, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe you are. Yeah, because obviously there is a lot of sugar in the alcohol. Yeah,
so much.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're really healthy. Gym 5 days a week, lots of water. Yeah. So what are your goals now?
So this year that I've had a lot of pain issues from the car accident I mentioned. So obviously I've had stomach problems. I had a recurrence of so I had whiplash for 3 years. I've had a recurrence of that nerve pain. So I've put on a little weight and I'm not moving as much as I was at the beginning of the year. So my goal now is to resolve that pain. The stomach problems seem to have gotten, I would say, 95% better, which is amazing news. So yeah, the goal this year is just to keep my health at its peak. So make sure that the stomach problems are completely gone, get my movement back, because the recurrence of the injury seems to be at its end and it's kind of moving away. So yeah, just getting back to being in the gym 5 days a week. And then I've got goals in my corporate career that I can't share because they're confidential. And then in the business is just helping as many women as I can build more success this year. I would love to help between 5 and 10 extra women this year hit the income goals that they didn't even realize were possible for them.
Yeah. And so how can people work with you on that?
So if you go to the website that was popped up earlier, there's a little link in there where you can book a one-to-one coaching call. That's probably the easiest way. They're currently £77, and we will just spend about an hour going through something that is currently holding you back. So whether it is your confidence, or you're not managing your time, or you're feeling really overwhelmed and you just need some support and a strategy in place to get you over that block and to the next place, that's the easiest way. And then from that, then I've got my kind of longer term one-to-one coaching. So that's 3 months where we spend the 3 months kind of really focusing in on getting you to the next level of success.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's you mainly work with people one-on-one then to really
at the moment,
hone down on their
it's definitely one. I much prefer it.
Yeah.
Again,
I
you
would
can get
imagine
really personal that way.
Yeah. And they can get some really good goals and
Exactly.
achievements
Really
out of that as well. So it's just women in corporate careers that you work with?
It's generally. So I think what I teach could be used across any industry. So if you're a business owner, or you're not in corporate but you are a professional of some kind, then the skills that I teach are absolutely transferable. I focus on corporate women because it's what I've done. I built a really successful corporate career before 30, so I absolutely know that what I teach you will help these women in corporate build a more successful career. But it's not limited to that. If you're not in corporate, don't feel like you can't reach out. I absolutely would work with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that confidence thing is, that affects everybody, doesn't it, across the board, regardless of their job role, or working in corporate. I think we often stand in our own way.
For sure. And I think there's a lot of female business owners who could definitely benefit from somebody like a coach being kind of their own personal cheerleader. And I like to use the phrase, like, you can steal my confidence for a little while if you don't have your own. And yeah, I think anyone in any industry could definitely do with a little boost sometimes.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Lixie. For our viewers, Lixie's website is Life with Lixie. Lixie is LIXXY.com. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. We'll be back next Tuesday at 12 o'clock, where we will be having another conversation about stories from my drinking days. Thank you very much for listening. And thanks again, Lixie. Thank you.